Hey guys, it's Kelsey and welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing on in my Disney trip recap video series. So today I am talking about my fourth trip to Disney. So it took place in like April and May of 2009. So I'm going to be sharing some of the things that I remember, the things that still stick out to me almost 10 years later, and just like things that I remember. This trip was a little bit different, so I didn't necessarily learn a lot, but you'll see why in a minute. But yeah, I'm just kind of sharing, and then I will share maybe some pictures. Again, this trip was a little bit different, so not quite sure. I have to take a look and see what I have. So this trip was actually a school trip. So I went with the music department from my school, so you had to be in like choir or band. I kind of actually joined choir once I realized that they were going to Disney World. There was a music trip every year, and I ended up loving it, and like the music department was one of my favorite things in my high school experience, so it was totally worth it. But basically I wanted to go to Disney World, so I joined choir. So it was a school trip, so it was, I think we had 5 days in the park, so it was like, it would have been about 7 days. So we're just out of Toronto, and so we drove, like we took like the big, like Greyhound sized buses and actually drove to Buffalo and flew out of Buffalo because it was cheaper. So we stayed the night before we flew out in Buffalo. And then went to Disney, and we performed at Downtown Disney back then, Disney Springs now, the like stage that's right across from the big World of Disney store. I performed there. But it was funny because that was like the first day. So then we still had like 5 days in the parks, and it was amazing. And then I think like the day we left, like we left earlier in the morning and then drove back the same day. We didn't stay in the hotel again. Funny story I remember I had from one of my earlier trips, like the Mickey ears that were for the Year of a Million Dreams, and they had a light on it that went like this. And I was really excited, and I kind of put them on at like 4 o'clock in the morning when we were in Buffalo, the morning that we left to go to Disney World, because I was a little excited. So I have like notes here just because I wanted to remember as much stuff as possible. So we stayed at Caribbean Beach, which actually we were supposed to stay at All Star Music, which I stayed at in my first trip to Walt Disney World, but they overbooked us, so we got bumped up to a moderate, and I was like, I know Caribbean Beach, it's awesome. So I was really excited about that, and it was my favorite resort. We had like, I can't remember what section we were in, but it was, I don't remember if it was Aruba. It was closer to Old Port Royale to walk around instead of go across. So whatever area we were in. But we had, I remember there's like the little courtyard with the benches and stuff, and we had people like all the way. There must have been 60 something of us, and there were like 4 people to a room, plus how many, like I don't even know how many teachers and parents came and stuff like that. But so we stayed at Caribbean Beach, and I like acted as like a bit of a tour guide for this trip. So I remember like when we got to Caribbean Beach, like going to Old Port Royale, I was like, oh, it's this way, and I'm like leading the group of like how many people, because I know where I'm going. And then I remember people would find, like, because we would have time where we could go off with our friends, and I remember people would find me and being like, which way to this ride? And I'm like, oh, just go that way and make sure to hit this on the way there because it's good too. And like people would just ask me for recommendations and stuff, so I've had lots of Disney knowledge for a very long time, so it was definitely fun. When I went into the trip, I really wanted to like try and do something that I hadn't done before. Like every day I wanted to try something new. So because at this point I had been 2 years in a row, like, so I had been there fairly frequently because I went in 1998 and then 2007, 2008, 2009. So I remember we went to Typhoon Lagoon and we did the shark reef thing, which I don't think is there anymore. But I remember doing that, and that was my new thing for the day, and I was terrified. I didn't, like, there were so many of us that they, like, let you off in waves, so I had, like, the snorkel, and I was afraid that I was going to take water in the snorkel and then float to the bottom, or sink to the bottom, and sharks were going to eat me. So we got left, like, we were the second group, and I was swimming quite fast that I caught up to the first group, because, yeah, I wanted out of there. But I did it, and it was something new. Let me see what else I have here. I remember one thing that I did learn is if you're eating at Crystal Palace, which, like, we would have, like, one meal a day that they would get for us, and then like the other meal we could go to a sit-down restaurant if we wanted, and we went to Crystal Palace, and if you're eating there when the fireworks are going off, you can actually, like, exit the restaurant and, like, just stand right outside and watch the fireworks and then go back in. So we did that, which was really cool. And then also when we got, like, a voucher for breakfast every day, and it was kind of like the meal plan was back then. It's different now, but when you had a breakfast you could get, so for example, I would always get, like, the Mickey waffle with strawberries, so you could get that, a drink, and a snack, so even, like, a Rice Krispie square, like an apple or whatever. So I remember, like, finding that out and, like, telling people to get it so they would get snacks for themselves to have throughout the day. And when we went the last time in November 2016, they had taken that away, so you can't get a snack anymore. But I remember doing that. We had, like, a dessert party in Italy at Epcot. So, like, there's, like, the terrace. I know sometimes they have, like, they have dessert parties there that, like, some people that are getting married, like, if they get married earlier in the day, you can have your, like, not reception, but, like, you have that space and to watch the fireworks and stuff. I think Happiest Vlogs on Earth did that. And I remember watching that and being like, oh, hey, that's where I have my thing. We got to, so sometimes we would take the Disney buses, and sometimes we would take, like, the charter buses that we had. So we went in Epcot through the back way, and I remember seeing the globe from Illuminations just, like, sitting back there, and I was like, oh, people, like, remember that. And then it was in Illuminations, and people were like, oh, hey, that's cool. That trip was the last time I ever did Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, and I remember that from my first trip, and, like, when the mice, the air that felt like mice happened, and it scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. I remember, like, lifting my legs up even that time because I knew exactly what was gonna happen. I remember going to Tower of Terror, and there were, like, most of the elevator was people from my school. So I remember I think we all got copies of that picture, but that was fun to do with, like, a lot of people that you know, because we were just killing ourselves laughing at the people, like, because you knew who was screaming. It was the first time I'd ever been in, like, a really large group, and the first time I'd ever been without my family. So I remember, like, missing my family terribly, but then also having a really fun time with friends. And I remember there was probably, like, 13 of us in Pirates of the Caribbean, and, like, we were our own boat, but just how great Disney was about accommodating you. Like, you might have to wait for a minute, but they will make sure that you can stay together as much as you can, which came in handy in the last trip that we took. So I kind of learned that. And then I remember being in the pool at Caribbean Beach and seeing Illuminations, and, like, that was one of the things that I love about Caribbean Beach is, like, you're that close to Epcot, and especially with, like, the gondola system that's gonna come in, like, the location of Caribbean Beach. I've always liked the location because it's so close to Epcot and Hollywood Studios, but once that gondola system comes in to get you there, like, it's gonna be definitely an awesome resort to stay at. And I think that's about it. That trip was really fun, and I, like, I feel so lucky to have had that experience with my school. And I remember like going with the teachers and stuff and going on Splash Mountain. Oh, I remember, no wait, that wasn't at Disney World, that was somewhere else. But that was at like Canada's Wonderland. But going on, Kilimanjaro, or like going on Kilimanjaro Safari, but going on Cali River Rapids with teachers. And like the music teachers are awesome at my school, and like I remember being in it, and like when on the trip that I went on in 2007, how the raft kind of like turns at the last second, so kind of knowing the odds of who was gonna get wet. And I remember like walking around World Showcase and seeing the drums there, and like it's all the music kids, so they're playing the drums and stuff like that. And then actually, funny story, somebody that I met was at that summer at a job that I had was at Disney World at the same time with her school. How weird is that? I was like, we could have walked by each other. I remember meeting the like princesses and stuff with all the like guys that were with us, and it was a really fun time. So any like high school students, if you have the opportunity to go to Walt Disney World with your school, do it, because it's like something you won't forget, and I'm very lucky to have had that experience. If you've been lucky enough to go to Disney World 4 times, or even if you just want to tell me about your first trip to Walt Disney World, let me know like when it was and what still sticks out to you. It's like the most random things that come to you, but it's just really fun to like think back on all the memories that are made from these trips, and like that's such a reason that I love Walt Disney World, and it's such a fun place to experience with like family and friends, and it's just awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you're looking forward to the next video in this series, which will be coming in the next few weeks. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye.